So, Saskatoon 15, I think you've waited long enough for your video. You had asked me for a video of how to operate the generator. And so, that is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how. So here we are. Two basic things. You got the float switch there. And you've got, of course, the generator itself. Now this generator has a plug-in for a 220, and then you've got a remote plug-in and a 110 plug-in. The remote plug-in is just so you can put it to a pressure switch or a float switch, you know, it's an external device so that it can turn on and off as you please. So, we got 1,253 hours on this particular unit. So this one runs, I believe, a 25 horse V-twin Kohler overhead valves. And you basically, you got your motor here and generator here. You got, this is where you check your oil, and we'll actually check that just right now. And it actually looks like it's a little bit low. This one burns a little oil, but and then of course you add oil here, and it's got this nifty little drain plug for draining your oil. Right there is a valve, and you got the oil cooler and filter and so on and so forth. So then you come over here, and this is, you know, your computer panel, and you can either select it to go to auto, which will run it either off of your float switch, or it'll run it off the float switch or this timer. Now this timer, I'm not going to go into the details of. Why the hell is my phone ringing out here? I shouldn't have any service. So, anyways, now I'm not going to go into depth about this particular deal here, because there's a whole range of options you can go, and you can have it so it comes on once a month. You can have it so that it cycles every so often. You can have it so it comes on, you know, for a predetermined time every, you know, how you could basically configure it to come on whenever you want it to and however you want it to. And so there's so many options here that I could spend a long time trying to explain all the features of this little device. Basically, when we're using this, we set it to come on, I think, 4 times a day for an hour and a half to pump water. And that's only on a tank where we have an overflow to a pit. So, if you're running it on that or the float switch, you'll put this to auto. Now you've got an off position. This is a 3-way switch. Now if you just want it to run and without the automatic stuff, then you can just click it to run. You'll see it starts up. Just like so. So we don't need it to run right now. So we're going to put it to auto. And then basically, you know, you've got this panel up here will tell you all these different trouble codes right here based on a letter or a series of letters that it'll put there. The one we see the most often is under voltage and under frequency. And we've seen those usually during the winter when it starts up and doesn't want to stay running right away when it's cold. We've seen the crank cycle, and well, twice now we've seen the low oil pressure. Once when it ate up a cam, second time when it chewed up the lifters. Nope, make that 3 times. And the third time when it blew all the seals out of it. So, that's the basics on how to run this. Then you got your fuses here for the different options. You know, you got your batteries down here, and there's a little controller in there. Helps to maintain battery charge, and then you've got a breaker for your plug-ins. You know, the things you plug in, the things that do the things with the things. Anyways, so we always leave that on. So we're gonna stick it over to auto, and you'll hear it click. And basically, what it's doing is it's just setting this. Well, maybe I can show you. Oh, I guess not. It sets that little throttle. There's a little air shutoff valve there that opens and closes to choke it and such, as determined by the computer. Anyway, so we're going to stick it to auto. And then we are going to put our panel back on here. And then just turn that switch to lock it in. And I'm going to double check my float and make sure that we've got everything working as it should be. Well, it was stuck. I am going to change these weights around because I think one of these weights is actually catching on the edge of this wood here where I've cut out the notch for it. So I'm going to put these smaller weights right here, and I'll put the bigger weights on top. Hopefully it shouldn't catch that way. So anyways, it starts up and it does a short warm-up cycle, and you just heard it kind of bog down, and that's when the warm-up cycle is over with. Then it will, when the warm-up cycle is over with, it'll kick on the generator to start flowing juice. And of course, in our particular application, as soon as it starts flowing juice, it'll start pumping water. Well, pretty soon after. It takes a while. The well there is about 240 feet deep, so it takes a minute for the water to come up. Should be here just about any second. There we go. Give it a second and it'll actually clear up. And this is actually really good water. I've drank this water many times, and it's almost better than the water we got at home. But then when the water level comes up, it'll push that float up and it kicks off the generator. And then of course, theoretically, as soon as the water level drops, then the float will drop and it'll kick the generator back on. So, Saskatoon 15, I hope that answered all your questions about how to run the generator. And thanks for waiting, man. Sorry it took so long.